I am going to tell you story of a girl, and this time it is being narrated by a man. My name is Ethan Miller, and what I am about to share changed my entire life. I was 27 years old when I signed adoption papers for a baby girl that everyone around me said would destroy my future. I lived in Columbus, Ohio in a small 2-bedroom apartment. I worked as a child protection case worker in Franklin County and my salary was not very high. I was single. I had no wife, no children, and no strong family support. My mother, Linda Miller, told me clearly that I was ruining my life for a child who is not even mine. My father also agreed with her and said this decision will destroy my future and reputation, but I had already decided I could not step back. The case file of a newborn baby girl came to my desk one morning. She had been abandoned at the hospital with no family and no name, only a temporary file name, Baby Carter. I read her file again and again, and I could not stop thinking about her. While I handled many cases every day, something about her stayed in my mind. After work I would still think about that baby girl. After some time I decided to adopt her. I started the full legal process: home study, background checks, financial verification, interviews. Everything was done step by step. My supervisor, Daniel Brooks, supported me but warned me this will change your life completely. When approval finally came, I did not feel celebration. I felt fear because I knew this was real life responsibility, not paperwork. The day I went to bring her home was rainy and cold. I went to the foster agency and they placed her in my arms. She was just a few days old, tiny soft body, small fingers, and when she grabbed my finger I felt something in my heart that I had never felt before. I named her Ava Carter. I drove home very carefully, checking mirror again and again just to make sure she was breathing. When I reached my apartment I placed her in a crib I built myself and I just stood there watching her sleep. That same evening I received a letter from my mother. It was cream-colored paper with sharp words. She wrote that I had made a huge mistake. She said I chose a burden and destroyed my future. She clearly told me, do not come back home until you fix your mistake. I folded that letter and placed it in a box. That night Ava cried non-stop. I walked in the hallway holding her, trying to calm her down. Neighbors complained I lost sleep. My life became harder and slowly my family stopped contacting me, but I never put her down. I never gave up on her, and that was the moment my real life as a father truly began. Years passed and life did not become easy, but it became meaningful. I moved to Michigan and bought a small house. It was not perfect, but it was ours. I worked harder, double shifts sometimes, just to make sure Ava never felt alone. She grew into a very intelligent and kind child. She was different from others. She asked deep questions even at a very young age. Her teachers noticed she was gifted, and by middle school she was already performing above her grade level academically, but emotionally she was also very strong and observant. My family still did not contact us. No calls, no visits, no birthday wishes, nothing. Ava once asked me if she had grandparents. I answered her carefully. I told her sometimes adults make decisions that break families, and sometimes pride becomes stronger than love. She understood, but I did not know that she had started thinking deeply about everything. Later I discovered she had found the letter my mother wrote years ago. I had kept it hidden in a box, but she found it during her teenage years. I did not stop her because I trusted her. Ava became very focused in high school. She worked extremely hard and became valedictorian of her class. The school selected her to give the graduation speech. I was proud but also nervous because I did not know what she would say on that day. Graduation ceremony was held in a large auditorium in Michigan. Families were everywhere, and then I saw something unexpected. My parents, Linda and Robert Miller, were sitting in the front row acting like nothing had ever happened. I sat in the middle row quietly. Ava walked onto the stage wearing her graduation gown. She looked calm, confident and strong. She thanked her teachers and friends. Then she said she wanted to talk about family. Suddenly the room became completely silent. She spoke about being adopted and how she was raised by a single father who was told that he made a mistake. Then she slowly took something from her gown pocket. It was the same cream-colored letter my mother had written years ago. I immediately recognized it. She unfolded it and began reading it loudly. Every word echoed in the hall. Words like burden, mistake, ruin your life. The audience stayed silent. Then she paused and said, this letter was written before I ever had a chance to prove myself. She looked directly at me and said, I am here today because someone chose me every single day. Her voice became stronger. My father chose me when no one else did. The entire auditorium stood up and started clapping. People were crying. I could not move. I just sat there with tears in my eyes. My parents stood up and walked out of the hall before the applause ended. They did not look back after the ceremony. Ava came to me backstage and hugged me tightly and said, you never made a mistake. And in that moment I finally understood that real family is not about blood, it is about who stays when everyone else leaves. True strength is not measured by approval from others but by doing what is right even when you are alone. Every child is a responsibility and a trust, and how we treat them defines our character more than their background ever does. Real family is built through love, sacrifice, and consistency, not through blood or social acceptance. Question: if you were in Ethan's situation, would you still choose to raise a child when your entire family was against you and called it a mistake? Advice: never let fear or other people's opinions decide the value of someone's life. Sometimes the world will not understand your choices at first, but time reveals the truth behind every sacrifice. Stand for what is right, stay consistent in your responsibility, and remember that love shown in difficult times becomes the strongest legacy.